I watched about 3 minutes and it's 6 minutes. So we're gonna kind of break it down. Um, I think I'm gonna make this a separate segment and I could put it on the YouTube channel. But yeah, okay. So this is Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA was I think started by Charlie Kirk. Either way, he's involved with it heavily, and they're wrong about like everything. They're just a hyper conservative group that basically targets and radicalizes young kids in high school or in college to be on the far right, and just give them talking points so they can go down a dialogue tree. So we're gonna watch this guy defend police in the best way ever.
You're going to take police from single moms, vulnerable children, domestic violence victims, the
Nope.
people who need them the most.
No, we're not.
You're robbing them. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Sure about that. Yes, Steve.
My name is Brandon Tatum. I did 6.5
Turn this
years
down
on the police
just a little
department,
bit.
and I did just about everything you can imagine. I was on the SWAT team. I was a field training officer, meaning I trained new officers how to become officers, and I was involved in almost every aspect of the police department. To all you woke leftists out there, let me give you a reality check. There are dangerous, evil people in this world.
Okay.
And when that dangerous, evil
Some of them are police.
person comes to your front door, force entry into your house with your children there, who are you going to call?
Probably the cops.
You're not going to call the politicians.
Nope.
You're not going to call the activists who are out here defunding the police.
True.
You're going to call a man or a woman who's sworn to uphold the law wearing a badge. They're not going to be cowardice.
So, sworn to uphold the law wearing a badge. Yeah. Part of the law is don't kill criminals. Simple as that. As it happens, some of the cops kill criminals. And either way, racism, you can't be legally racist. If you're a cop, you cannot like be a racist and like act upon. You can't be like, oh well, I'm gonna just stop more black people than I do white people because I don't like black people. But they do that. Like that's not allowed, but they do that. So
They're not going to turn away from you because of your race or because of what you look like.
sometimes they do. Cops will refuse to show up to certain areas because of things that may have happened in the past. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, when a cop does something wrong and another cop tells on him and gets him in trouble, then they will not respond to back up to that cop because police are gangs. And so, no, I mean, I don't see a whole lot of nobility in infighting and drama between the police force. Depending on whether or not that cop lives or dies, or whether or not some other people that they're involved with lives or dies.
Or because of your past mistakes, they're going to come into your house and they're going to protect you with their whole life.
Like they did with Breonna Taylor. Yeah, they're going to come in and they're going to protect you with their whole life. Or that Black Lives Matter activist who had helicopters and a SWAT team and police banging on his door for hours on end. And then the whole time he was like, well, slide the warrant under the door. I'm not letting you in without a warrant. And they insisted they had one. And then after hours, they just left. And then it turns out there was no warrant. So they just wanted in his house to like tear up his shit to, scare him. That's pretty much the point. That's what's awful.
No matter what the consequences are, no matter if they never come home to see their family, they're going to be there for you. I made 40,000.
That kind of goes against the narrative of people defending police right now, doesn't it? Where it's just like, well, they're worried about their family too. They need to go back to their family, well, it goes against that completely. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too, I think.
$1,000 a year. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I love my community. You couldn't pay me enough to put my life on the line. You can't pay me enough to have to worry about not coming home every night to my children. You owe it to America to explain what part of the police department you plan on cutting.
Oh, oh, super easy.
Are you going to cut the domestic violence unit?
Nope.
Are you going to cut the individuals who investigate child sex crimes?
Nope.
Internet crimes?
Nope.
Elder abuse?
Nope.
Are you going to cut the SWAT team? Some of the best trained men and women.
What the fuck are you talking about? What a ridiculous fucking straw man. How are you gonna why would you I know why, because he's being dishonest, but like it is ridiculous to be like, oh well, you want to defund the police? What parts do you want to defund? This part, this part, this part, this part, the things that the police obviously are handling in an effective manner at this point? Or Or do you want to defund them to a point where they can't buy a ridiculous amount of fucking military weapons? Do you want, I mean, cutting SWAT would not be such a bad idea. Depends. I think it depends. But like the whole idea that like he's like, well, fucking, what about these things the police like are already doing a decent job at? No, let's talk about the fact that like there are places that will hire social workers rather than more police, or fund the police more, and then fucking crime goes down 15%. Or sorry, not crime, arrests go down 15%, and like murders go down by like 3%. Like there's clearly like a way to handle stuff without giving the police more money, without throwing more money at them. Like I don't fucking, it's so dumb. They're already too militarized and misused most of the time. I 100% agree. They have like weapons and armor that are designed to be held subject to things like the court martial, and the police are not held subject to that. So, and these are weapons and armor that they're not trained with, that they're using in a way that, you know, the repercussions do not come back in the way that they were expected to come back when these things were made. Like it's just over militarization, and we're turning into like a police state where police can just kind of do whatever the fuck they want, and then they just get away with it. And like, sure, there's an uproar and the people don't like it, but in the end, the courts just kind of let them go, like every single fucking time. It's crazy.
In the entire world. Who do you think is going to handle terrorist attacks on American soil?
Probably the FBI, if I had to guess. Probably the FBI, Homeland Security. Local police departments have very little impact on that.
Who do you think is going to stop the drug dealers from dealing drugs to your children?
Probably the cops.
Who's going to do that for you? You guys are not equipped to do that.
I don't know if he thinks that means abolishing the police, because those are two different things. Defunding and abolishing are different things.
That's why you have police officers that go through the training. Have you ever been to an academy? Do you know what we learned? Do you know the sacrifices that are made?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did kind of, I looked into that. I was very interested to see what the fuck they learn. It tends to vary from police department to police department, but generally it's very shoddy de-escalation work and teaching you how to use a weapon and hand-to-hand combat, and then the laws, and like they do like driving tests and stuff.
Do you know how much we spend time learning about the laws, learning about the Constitution?
Why do you lie about it then? There are so many cops who will just tell you that X, Y, and Z are the law, but it's not actually true.
Learning about how to de-escalate, learning about crisis intervention, learning about mental health crisis.
Well, then why aren't you handling it correctly? Why is it that if you learn about mental health crises and like crisis intervention, why is it that you can't fucking figure it out? Why is it that like so much of the time, someone who's screaming at 1 a.m. ends up getting shot or ends up getting like just detained for no reason, when you really could have solved that issue with a social worker who actually knew what the fuck was going on? The problem is that defunding might not solve this too. They'll probably just cut the training costs. I mean, then that's not what the fuck they want. It's not just defund the police, right? It's defund the police in these specific areas where police aren't handling shit correctly, and get people in there who can handle shit correctly. So, I mean, if they just cut training costs and make people less trained, then that's not what BLM wants either. That's not what I want. The people who are chanting defund the police, that's not what they want.
Learning how to drive, how to shoot, it's your fault that people are out here killing police officers for no reason, ambushing police officers.
It's your fault. It's our fault. Do not hold the police officers accountable. Don't you dare. There is absolutely, it has nothing to do. It's literally from nothing, just riots. Just riots. Or maybe it's the fact that a man had 17 complaints within the police department for the 18 years that he worked there, and then came up to a person who was supposedly counterfeited fucking a $20 bill, and then that man was named George Floyd, and he didn't play Simon Says very well, and then he killed him. Maybe they protected Derek Chauvin a ton. Maybe they protected that police officer like a ton for no reason, because police are gangs. That's the reason, actually. It's not no reason. But yeah, and that's what sparked this. It's not like no fucking reason, dude.
The hatred and vitriol for really good people. You are creating that animosity that should not exist. You're putting a target on our
Dude. What percentage of it was it? What percentage of cops are racist? I think they did leaked it or something. There's like a white supremacist group that exists. Shut the fuck up, dude. We get it. The white supremacist group that like a bunch of cops were signed up on. It was like 11% or something.
I'm finally.
Shut the fuck up. I can't find it. I'm not gonna make any definite numbers.
on our backs.
Jesus Christ.
You're making it unsafe for us to go to work. What do you think you're doing?
Your job is unsafe. You were just talking about the drug dealers, the sex traffickers, the fucking domestic violence shit. Your fucking job is unsafe, dude. The protesters aren't making it unsafe. As a matter of fact, you're making it unsafe for the protesters to practice their First Amendment right. There are people who are completely peacefully protesting, and the cops are aggravating the situation. They're throwing tear gas in. They're shooting rubber bullets at people who have the right to be there. Like their constitutional right. That constitution that conservatives suck their own dicks about all the time. That Charlie Kirk sucks his own dick about all the time. Like that's literally part of it. Is the right to peacefully protest. And then the police aggravate that, and then the looting starts, and then the rioting starts, and then the aggression happens, and then the property damage occurs. That's when.
To the morale. Do you think it's exciting for a police officer to go to work? Why would anybody want to be a police officer right now? Why? The good men and women who are trained.
I don't know. That's a great question. Why would someone want to be in a racially corrupt job that kind of pushes people to racially profile other people? I wonder. I can't rack my brain. Why would they want to do that?
Who are educated, who have had a
Because they're racist.
passion since the day that they were born to be a servant is going to turn this job away. I want you to understand this. Policing in America is not just a job. It's a calling. And there are people who answer the call on a day-to-day basis. Why are you trying to destroy that dream? Why are you trying to distract and deter?
What a completely pathetic like straw man and this fucking ridiculous fallacy. Like, why are you trying to do this? Like, it's such a weird ad hom for no reason. It's literally just hey, there are good people, and this is the whole argument. I'll sum up this entire argument. There are good people in these roles. They want to do this, and they're not going to hurt anyone, but you're scaring them as a protester. That's his whole argument. It's 100% the argument.
People from answering a calling on their life, and you're doing it for political gain. And all of
Doing it for what is this? What is this, Turning Point USA? What are you doing right the fuck now? What are you doing condemning protesters? Are you doing it for political gain? That's exactly what he's doing.
these fraudulent politicians and celebrities yelling at you, telling you you should defund the police, guess what they have? Armed security. People that are there to protect them 24 hours.
And here's another fucking attempt to try to delegitimize the entire movement. The idea that hey, there's an authority telling you to do this, and those authorities have absolutely no stake in this whatsoever because they're going to be kept safe. You're the ones who are going to get hurt. That's his argument. Jesus, this guy's ridiculous. Just do it like Donut Operator, straight to the point. Why is he doing so much fucking talking like some movie has an emotion? That's true. This sounds like a fucking coach. Like this music and like this tone sounds like a coach right before the end of the end scene in a football movie.
Hours a day. They have guns. You don't. And it breaks my heart to see a man of integrity served on the police department for
That is really sad. This guy shouldn't have died. That is kind of fucked up.
38 years. Served honorably, served the community, was a leader, lost his life. And what do y'all say? Nothing. Nothing. You should be thinking about defunding the criminal element.
We should be talking about him a little bit more. I don't think that we should take away from the idea of BLM. I think this goes with BLM. We should be talking about him. It's really fucked up what happened.
In the community. You guys are focused in the wrong area. We all understand policing and that we can all improve. I would love to see police officers have the availability to have more training, more exposure.
Me too.
That comes with more funding,
No, it
not
doesn't.
defunding.
No, it comes from reallocating sources from buying fucking military surplus and then putting that towards actual like maybe like legitimate social training, maybe legitimate crisis intervention training. Like you don't need to like throw more money. They sometimes police officers can have like as much as like 12% of a city's budget, which in like I think in New York that's like $10 billion. It's like Jesus Christ, man.
Let me tell you what needs to be defunded. These failed government programs that have done nothing for young people in the inner city.
Is he going to give an example? I bet Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, these people do not give examples. They are as vague as possible.
Not provided opportunities, haven't provided education. They have done nothing. The funding of the police department
What failed policies?
is where you see success.
Nope. As a matter of fact, crime has been completely stagnant since the 1990s, yet police funding has gone up 30% since the 1990s, even though crime has stayed completely the same and arrest rates have been about the same. Isn't that crazy?
Well-funded police department with good, adequate training, that's what's going to protect these young people. That's what's going to keep people safe. That's what's going to get the guns off of the streets. That's going to give young
Yeah, broken windows policing and stop and frisk got more guns off the streets. No, it fucking didn't. Jesus Christ.
people an opportunity to flourish.
But and the reason I point that out is because those are the types of things that he's advocating for. Is like
Adequate training, that's what's going to protect these young people. That's what's going to keep people safe. That's what's going to get the guns off of the streets.
that more training for like what? He's so astoundingly vague.
That's going to give young people an opportunity to flourish, to live their dreams, to accomplish things without getting snuffed out through gang violence, through drugs, through homicides. Come on, man, it's common sense.
Oh, you mean the fucking overwhelming majority of homicides that are like not either not being looked into or are already cold cases?
But y'all not operating on common sense. You're operating on emotions.
What the fuck is this video for? This music, this tone of voice, this blaming, this this idea that like you're the victim of your own mentality. How is this not the most emotional shit coming from? It's so pathetic, and pathetic in the rhetorical sense, as in utilizing pathos. It is pathetic in that sense. So I don't know why the fuck he's talking about this when he's like, it's such a hypocritical thing.
You're operating on political correctness. You're operating on mob rule.
Yeah, political correctness. I don't want black people to get fucking murdered by the police. I don't want black people to get disproportionately discriminated against from the police. I'm sorry, I'm political correct. 2PC, PC
You and
culture.
I both know what's really going on in these cities.
Do we?
You and I both know that the politicians have failed you.
Yeah.
You and I both know that you're not really worried about the police officer riding a police car down the street and that they're gonna harass you. You know you're worried about wearing the wrong color on the wrong street. You're worried about the dope boys in the hood selling dope, creating zombies. And for you hypocrites,
He's about to call me a hypocrite. So yeah, we can be worried about those things, and also a black person can justifiably be worried when they get pulled over. Because when someone does nothing wrong, and they say that, hey, I have a firearm, and it's in the glove box, and and the cop tells him to go reach for it to grab it so he can put it on the dashboard, he gets killed when he didn't even. I think he was speeding. So yeah, I think that it's kind of justifiable for that kind of shit to happen.
hypocrites out there, you should be ashamed of yourself because you know you're doing this for political expediency. You're doing this for elections. You know you really don't care about the inner city. You know you really don't care about violence.
That's probably true because, but that's more of a problem with like lobbying and politicians mainly representing the interests of corporations rather than the people that are within their constituency, rather than like a political motive.
Because if you did, you'd have done something about it 30, 40 years ago. Let me talk to you about what's going to happen, what gets cut from the police department when you defund them.
You want to bet that this guy denies systemic racism? I'd bet that. I wonder who this is. I'm going to look him up in a sec.
Are you going to be there to protect women from getting abused? Are you going to be there for children who are on the internet getting exposed to predators? Are you going to be there when a woman is delivering her baby on the side of the road? Are you gonna be there when someone is laying in the middle of the street with gunshot wounds?
Probably not, but what the fuck are you talking about? I feel it's really weird because he's talking about defunding certain aspects, so he knows what defunding the police means, but then he's giving these exaggerated examples of abolishing the police. Like it seems like he's like doing this double think thing where he's gonna give this point to try to demonstrate like this idea, and then like a minute later he's gonna give a contradictory point to represent this idea. It's just rhetoric. It's pure rhetoric. There's no logic in it.
I need you to wake up. Use your brain. The noble police officers that go out and serve and protect on a day-to-day basis, they deserve support. They deserve funding.
Sure.
They deserve to be trained
funding,
properly. They deserve to have the backing of the city. You're gonna take police from single moms.
That's a really weird cut.
They deserve to have the backing of the city. You're gonna take police from single moms, vulnerable children,
Or not.
domestic violence victims.
You're operating off of emotion. What? The cognitive dissonance of the people who watch this and go, "You're right," blows my mind.
The people who need them the most. You're robbing them. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
I should be ashamed.
There are bad apples in every profession. The police department is not exempt.
They forget the rest of the saying. A few bad apples spoil the bunch. That's what that is. You need to get rid of those bad apples, and you need to infrastructurally get to a position in which you do not hire on nearly as many bad apples, if any, okay? But right now, what the system does is it protects the bad apples. So that's the biggest problem.
And every single person I've talked to, every single person watching this video hates bad cops. But you know who hates bad cops the most? The good cops, the ones who stick around, the ones who serve properly, and you're making it hard on them. Patriotic Americans don't defund the police, they defend the police. Join me in supporting police officers.
They're fucking, that's fascist rhetoric. That's just fascist rhetoric. You are not a patriotic American unless you agree with me. That's literally fascist rhetoric. That's shit that like Trump says. That's shit that Hitler said. Like, oh my God, dude.
All over the country so we can make this country a better place.
I wonder if he's an Uncle Tom. The truth about Bria. Oh, he is an Uncle Tom. I kind of want to read this. This is, look at how this is such a credible source. This is funny. This is genuinely funny. This looks like someone learned how to write HTML this morning and then just made a fucking website. Tired of fake news? Tandem report. Let's see. This seems like such a small thing that I don't know if they would have done a test on this. There's usually a website I go to that has a bias test, and it'll tell you like what biases they lean towards, but this looks like it's too small to do that. Tandem report has no affiliation with Drudge Report in any way. That's a weird qualifier. It has no affiliation whatsoever, but the websites look exactly the same. Oh, what the fuck? This is actually like a comedy thing. Here it is. Oh, I wonder why. What a surprise, bro. Factual reporting, very low, or regular low.